Hey guys, welcome back, and I wanted to do a quick market recap video of some of the things that I've been watching patiently, trying to follow and see what's going on. So let's look at QQQ. So you can see we dropped all the way to that's 686, and currently we are right here at the daily 21. Right here, we're just slightly above the daily 21. So coming this week, what I would like to see is if we can get above this level right here of 723. I think that would be ideal. I think it would be an ideal response to the entire market, getting right above here, and maybe we can see buyers continuing to step in and we can push further up to probably this previous all-time high right here. So if that doesn't happen, my only concern is that, we may potentially come back down here to 683, and that's not really a good look on the entire market. So let's see what happens next week, or rather this coming week, and see if buyers are really stepping in, if this is just a healthy pullback. Just because we've been running for such a long time, I want to just gauge and see if this is a healthy pullback or not. So that's my expectation. I would like us to come above 723, and just then I'll be able to determine what my next steps are. Let's look at SPY. Same thing as QQQ. You can see how we closed above the daily 21. Same thing as QQQ. I'm expecting, or rather best case scenario, my expectations is we come above this 744 area, above that, and see what happens. If buyers step in, we may potentially see the continuation up here, because of course we must have a healthy pullback. You can see how we ran all this and never came back to the 21 for a mean reversion. We never did that. So this is the time that we did that. So let's wait and see this coming week. If we best case scenario, we come back above 744, 745 area, and maybe we can see buyers actually stepping in and move up, because if we don't see buyers stepping in, maybe we may continue pulling down just a little bit more, and that would be considered the worst case scenario. So let's come to Tesla. So a lot has been going on between the SpaceX IPO and Tesla and all that. So what I'm seeing here, the weekly portrays a much more clearer picture. So on the weekly time frame, all this level we had spoken about. Remember the trades we took right here on Tesla. So anyway, fast forward, we are back to this trend line we had drawn from before. You can see this last week we dropped almost to about 380, and buyers did step back in there at this level, and we closed right above the weekly 21. So best case scenario, my expectation is we have a continuation of that to the upside. Worst case scenario, the buyers don't step in, we may see Tesla drop down again to try and see if we can catch more buyers at this level of 380, 383. So coming next week, what I would like to see is a continuation. You can see the volume right here is increasing. I'd like to see a continuation to the upside and see if this thing is still valid for a move back to the previous all-time highs from the previous times. This is from 2025, and this is from 24, and that's from 25. So we'll wait and see if buyers step in, because it's just a game of probabilities. If this happens, or the other thing happens. So let's wait and see. I would like for buyers to step in. Of course, I'm bullish on Tesla, so I would like to see what happens this coming week. Let's go ahead and look at Microsoft. And Microsoft, these two, Microsoft and Meta, I've done so many videos of them. So On my previous videos, I did speak about this 410 area. You can see how we kind of really tried to hold this for several weeks. We finally broke that and we got stopped right here at the weekly 50. And you can see how that snowballed all the way. You can see how we sold, all the gains gone. We sold, we dropped all the way to about 382 and we closed about this 390. If you've checked out my videos, go check them again. We spoke about this 410 area, we spoke about this 390 area, and another key thing to note is that you can see the 200 was just around there. So my thoughts, my opinion, I think both Microsoft and Meta, these ones are a long hold. Not really something that you would hold a short term, because I mean they're the two most neglected stocks of the Mag 7 right now, Microsoft and Meta. You've seen everything else has really ran. You've seen the likes of AMD, you saw the likes of Nvidia, of all the other stocks, how they did rally, and these two, they just seem like the abandoned children of the Mag 7. So I'm curious to see. This for me is a long hold. Microsoft and Meta, both of these are a long hold for me because I see potential. I mean, once everything is bought out, all the other stocks, they're oversupplied, making new all-time highs day in, day out, and so on and so forth. So these two, they are a long hold for me. In my opinion, I do see potential. I do see a very good reward in this, but only if buyers can be faithful in both of these stocks and we can see a move further up. But anyway, that is just my opinion. I'm not swaying you in any direction. That's my opinion and that's what I'm seeing. So let's come back to Microsoft. So we dropped all the way. You can see how we closed right above 390. This 390 is very key at this point in time. What I would like to see: number one, buyers hold this level. At this point in time, it's holding this level because that's all we need. If buyers don't hold this level above 390, then we are looking at push prices, or sellers stepping in and pushing the prices much further down to the areas that we had back in March 26. These areas down here where we have the yellow box. So we need support here. We need the buyers to step in here so we can see the prices push further upwards. And again, this 410, if buyers step in, this 410 becomes significant again because it becomes an area that we need to surpass. It becomes a resistance that we need to surpass at some point in time if we are to get back to the previous high, this one right here at about 466 when we got there. So if you look at this closely, there's just some things that are quite interesting to me between Meta and Microsoft, is that you can say, if you look on the weekly time frame, someone may say this is like an inverted head and shoulder right here. Let me just draw this real quick. So you can say this is an inverted head and shoulder, and this is the right shoulder right there, and we may see something like that. However, for this to really play out, we still need the buyers. You cannot just rely on patterns and say, well, this is an inverted head and shoulder, this is going to play out ABCD, etc. So we need buyers to step in at this 390 level, and this is definitely a long hold because you can see if we have buyers stepping in, the rewards are much more if you hold this for a long period of time. But then again, that's just my opinion. Now let's come back to Meta. And the same thing as Meta, you can see we were doing very well on these weeks from May 4th, this week of 4th of May. You know, all these weeks we were doing well and all the gains gone. Now, on my previous videos, remember when I said this was a key area and how we were, let's come to the daily here. In the previous video I had done, I did mention, are we holding here? And that was legit. until it was not when we broke this level right here on 5th of June and we continued dropping further. Now in Meta, you can see we had a gap right here. This was from 7th April. We had this gap right here, and you can see this is exactly the same place that we crossed over and we dropped all the way to this level of 558. So again, same thing as Microsoft. You can say, if you come to the weekly time frame, someone can say, again, you're seeing an inverted head and shoulder. Let me see here. Let's see on the weekly time frame. You can say the same thing. I mean, it's not like super clear, but you can say the same thing is happening right there. But again, for it to be successful, we still need buyers. We still need smart money institutions and all those people to step in and have interest in Microsoft, and we can have the price or price action become so much better than what it is right now. So same scenario as Microsoft. Like I said, we need the buyers to hold this level. If we are to see price action go further up, we need the buyers right here. And if they do not step in at this level, then we may potentially see prices go back down to the same areas we had from last time. And also a key thing to note here, we have this gap. Not sure if you guys have this plotted out in your charts, but we have this gap which is right between here and here. So that's why I'm saying we need the buyers to step in at this level, because if they do not, you have to consider this gap down there. So that's all I had to share for today. And you know, I was looking at these two charts, Meta and Microsoft. They're very so familiar. I mean, let's come to the weekly, and you can see how we had very solid days. It proved to be like a legit thing was happening. Of course, you can have a red day. That's supposed to happen. It's the stock market. But then we didn't see buyers following up and, you know, stepping up so that we can hold this area and continue further up. We didn't see that. So coming this week, that's what I want to see, buyers stepping in at this level, because these two charts, you can say they're almost very, very similar. You can see how we had days of buying, immense selling right there. You can see the same thing as Meta, how we had buyers step in. I mean, you can even see the candles, dodges. The buyers were holding, they were holding the fort until they were not holding the fort. So those are just my thoughts. Nothing here is financial advice. Those are just my thoughts. And again, like I said, for Microsoft and Meta, I'm not expecting a quick pay out of these two. They're going to be long holds for me, because when you really go through it, the rewards to the upside, they're really, really nice. But then you still have to keep this in mind, that you need buyers to really step in so that you can be able to say, well, this is what you risked and this is what my reward is. Because if they don't step in, then your risk becomes significantly larger than what you had predefined it to be. So that's what I'm expecting for next week, what I'm hoping to see the stock market do. I don't know how things are going to be next week, considering we had the SpaceX IPO. I'm curious to see how the market will do. If that's the newest shiny thing in the market, then it means a lot of people will be on that. However, keep in mind, you know, sleeping giants, they never sleep forever. At some point, they're going to wake up. And Microsoft and Meta, they're two sleeping giants. Of course, you'll have some, you know, that lag behind. I hope you guys remember a couple of years back how AMD was not performing really well. And right now, it's a market leader. Now, I'm not saying that Microsoft and Meta will, you know, do the same thing as AMD, but you can only say what... you can only say, well, you can only see if buyers step in, then we can potentially see them going back to their previous all-time highs. But until then, we need buyers, we need smart money, we need we need buyers to push these things up. So let's see how next week pans out. I'll be curious to see how everything behaves as far as that. And that's pretty much all I wanted to share for today. So thank you for watching this, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thank you.